Hi there, I am Laurie Delk,
Hi, I am Catherine. Rara is in the house. Sarah Myers.
and we are the Gratitude Girls. And while we speak to you tonight, if you have any questions or comments, you are welcome to post them right below our video in our comment section. And I'm so happy to introduce our guest tonight. We have Miss Jodi Bateman, who is the wife of the CEO of the company that Catherine and I both work for, Send Out Cards. Her husband, Kody Bateman, owns the company, and she's, of course, you know how they say, and behind any good man is a great, amazing, and wonderful woman, right? And so she's the love and the heart and soul all behind the company. And so we're so grateful to have her here with us tonight.
Laurie, it is an amazing opportunity for us to have this time to hang out with Jodi. And I don't know if Jodi heard this story from us, but for our audience who's listening, we met on stage at our company convention in 2013. And it's because of Kody Bateman and Jodi Bateman and our company that you and I are actually here today. I'm certain people in our audience are not aware of each, and we ignited right there at the fingertips of Kody Bateman.
Yep, absolutely. Yes, it was so amazing to get to meet on stage and then talk afterwards. And then, we just knew that we had to do something with that. And so that's when Gratitude Girls were born, like 3 minutes later, right?
It's right. It was very quick for us. It was just amazing. And for our audience who's tuning in right now, Laurie and I and Jodi, we're in three different cities. And Laurie, maybe we'll just do a little quick geography. So I'm sitting in Canada, in Ontario, Canada. So the town that I'm in is actually called St. Catharines. It's the Niagara region. So we're new to this part of the world, this particular province. About 8 years ago, we moved into Ontario, and in this beautiful wine country, we've discovered home. So I'm here from Canada, and Laurie, would you like to tell our audience where you're calling us from tonight?
Sure. I am just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, in the United States.
That's awesome. So we're international. So originally, I'm a New Yorker from New York. Just in case that accent slips out, you'll hear it. And I'd like to pass the show over, Laurie, to our wonderful guest. It's just so amazing to have you with us, Jodi. Thank you so, so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. You're two of my favorite people. So
Well, that
I'm
that
here.
really that really makes our day because you're two of our favorite people.
You're sweet. Mm,
So, Jodi, right now you are in Salt Lake, Utah, correct?
sweet, yes. Yep.
Okay, that's fantastic. So I've been to Salt Lake City a few times actually because of our company, because of Send Our Cards, and because of our convention, and it was amazing for me to be there. But what's more amazing is every time I saw you, from the first time to the last time that we saw each other, I felt like I knew you, and your warm greeting and smile and the way in which you spoke to me as someone who you never knew to just a few minutes ago when we started speaking again tonight. I feel as if I've always known you. Is this a quality that you have that other people have told you about, or is this only special to me?
You know what? I actually feel that way about people, and I've never had anybody tell me that before. So thanks, rah rah. That makes me feel very special. But I do have that a lot. I see people and I think, I know you from somewhere. I know you from somewhere. There's just that instant connection. So, and I felt that with you. And I've learned so much from you. Not that we've really hung out a lot, but when I have, I've learned a lot from you. So you're a very special lady.
Thank you. I think all of our conversations have been embedded somewhere in my mind, and I play them back. I remember conversations that we've had at conventions, and I think about our talks, and I say to myself, oh, I want to get back to Jodi and talk to her. So to have you here tonight with us, sharing what basically you've helped us give birth to, as being all three nurturing women that we are, it's just amazing because although we are 3 years plus, it feels so natural for Laurie and I, and yet it feels like we have a lifetime of gratitude to share. So I'd like to ask you a little bit about your gratitude because you are such an important part of ours. Can you tell us a little bit about a day in the life of Jodi Bateman and how gratitude plays a part in your life?
Sure. You probably don't want to know about today. It was one of those days, but actually, it's kind of something I've learned from my husband because I have always been kind of the naysayer. Like, I will find everything wrong with the situation and try and correct it, make it right. And he has just taught me to let go and to enjoy life and to find the good in everything. So I pretty much owe most of that to him, and it's been a journey for me. So he's always been positive. I've always been the negative kind of thing. So it's been a learned thing for me. And over the last few years, I've realized there's that analogy of the rear view mirror and the front window on your car. Why the rear view mirror is small. It's just to kind of remind you of the past, but look more forward to the future because it's big and promising and it will give you everything. So that analogy is always in my mind. And when I'm having a bad day, I try and make it fit in that little rear view mirror and concentrate more on the big picture. So today, as an example, Kody and I went on a motorcycle ride last night, and I walked by the garage and I heard this alarm going off, and I'm like, oh, now what? Sure enough, our deep freeze had died. So we spent the next hour or two unloading the freezer. And Kody honestly has never let stuff like that get to him. But you know me, I'm just like, okay, what's next? The dryer? You know, I just have all these things playing in my mind. So that was kind of this beginning to my day today. I thought I can choose to focus on that, or I can choose to focus on the positive. And knowing that I was going to be on this call today, and you two ladies have always been an example to me, I thought, what would Bra and Laurie do? We just went to see Finding Dory. If you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. Because now the new saying in our house is, what would Dory do? There's always a silver lining, and you always have to be aware of that and concentrate on finding the good. So I tried, and today actually turned out amazing. Kody worked from home. I was able to spend time with him today and had my 2 little grandbabies here, and they always make everything okay. So it turned out to be a great day. And I have to say, on our trip to San Francisco, I was riding near you on the little barge that went out to Alcatraz. I don't know if you remember this or not. But as we got off, I thought, I was excited to go because everybody I knew had gone. But as we were pulling up, my heart just got really heavy, and I thought, I don't know if I want to do this. And everybody, you know, it was kind of a reverent, quiet feeling. And I remember we got off the ship, the blue boat, and I think you turned around and said, I can't do this. And that moment was so powerful for me because there are things that you probably shouldn't subject yourself to if it's hard for you. And it was really hard for me, but I wanted to learn and I wanted to know about it. But the whole time, finally towards the end, I told Kody, I gotta leave. I couldn't breathe. Like, my chest was so constricted. I just wasn't a pleasant experience, but I've been there and I can say that. So that was a very amazing example you set for me that day. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for remembering that. Yes, I do remember very well how I walked up there and said, no, I'm not able to do this. And I wanted to be strong for the rest of the weekend and said, I've met my strength and I see it. And thank you so much. I remember that boat ride. It's so wonderful to have done things together and shared powerful moments. And here we are speaking about it now. that I am grateful for that, and for you to mention it. That's probably something I haven't shared with anyone except for you.
Oh, wow. Well, sorry, I just shared it with everyone. I hope you don't mind.
No, I mean, like, no, I meant that in a good way. Like, that was between us, and we can tell the world that we had that together. And that's what happens when you have your eye on someone you really care about, right? You
Yeah.
watch them and you see them and you feel for them and you empathize. And that's the special thing about you, Jodi. You are there. You're not just in a room, you are the room.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're sweet. Yeah.
And maybe you can share a little bit with our audience tonight about, so you're a grateful woman. I know you are. I can see that in your eyes. Is there something that happened to you when you were a day, a week, a month, 10 years ago that you could remember that really gave you that feeling of gratitude where you thought, oh, yes, I know what this means?
Wow, that's a hard one. There's so many. How do you just specify? The one that comes to my mind right now is I just celebrated my 50th birthday, and I'm a twin, so we did it together. And I'm not kidding. I've dreaded it for 2 years. I did not want it to happen. I was not aging gracefully, and I told Kody I do not want surprise parties. I want to go away. I want to be away from everyone. And he honored that, but Whitney had texted me, my daughter Whitney said, Mom, I've arranged for people just a little get together to have cake and ice cream. I said, okay, Whit, but that's it. And she goes, okay. So my sister and I had gone to get pedicures, and as we were driving down the road, I noticed in our circular drive there were several cars parked. And I'm just like, what are they doing? And as we pulled up to the driveway, I don't even know if I can share this. My entire family, jeez, sorry, was lined up the driveway and they're all clapping. And the thing I dreaded most touched my heart in a way I wasn't expecting. And I know Kody always says, celebrate life. You know, celebrate people while they're here. Don't wait till they're gone. And that night truly opened my eyes to what that really did to people. And they did a video of us from when we were little to now, and memories just flooded back, and just having all of those people I loved and cared about cheering me on, I just thought that is what life is about. As long as we have a grateful heart and appreciate those that we love, what more is there to have to deal with in life? It makes the hard times easier to get through, and the happier times happier, and it just, I don't know, kind of blew my mind. Everything that I just didn't want to have happen, they did it anyway, and it was a fun night. So very grateful for my family.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Jodi. There are so many people that I'm certain want you to know how they feel about you, and it just seems that a birthday would be such a great opportunity to do that. And I could only imagine what your family was feeling, knowing that it was not your wish, but yet all these people were there wanting to share that with you. I'm sure you have wonderful, wonderful memories from that. And happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's wonderful being 50.
I remember when I turned 50. It was about 8 years ago, but yes, it was absolutely wonderful. Every year after is great too.
Oh, good. That's good to know. My dry cleaning lady said, you have about 4 good years left. She was laughing. Joke. But, yeah.
Well, I would say that it starts at 50, and that's what it did for me. So I'm an advocate of 50 plus.
Very good. It's been good so far.
Well, we intend to share many, many, many more birthdays with you. And you said something before. You said when you focus on something good and focus on something that you have to look forward to. So perhaps you can share with our audience. I'm sure there's someone in our audience who's thinking, oh yes, how do you get to focus on that? How do you keep your eye on what's ahead? Especially if at the moment you're just not too sure how you would handle that. Can you share a technique with our audience about how you did that, for example, today even?
Today. I found out the law of attraction and manifesting what you want in life. Apparently, I'm really good at it. Kody told me that a long time ago. And because of that, when I get down, I get really down. It's like a tumbling tumbleweed. I just spiral out of control. And this year has been a really hard year. And Kody reads books. I don't really read a lot, so my technique is a lot different. I have to be inspired. I find things that inspire me, whether it's a good movie, if it's going out and going for a bike ride or a jog or going to the mountains, wineries. I don't drink wine, but they are like the beach to me. I see a vineyard and I am good. They are beautiful. It's like they call me. They're so pretty. And I just have to, when I get that down, I really have to focus on all the things that I'm grateful for. And I can't recall the saying, but it's kind of like they say, if you're not grateful for everything you have, what if everything you have went away? And that's been really big on my mind lately. And so I'm grateful for everything. As long as you have your family and your friends, you're good. So all the other stuff is fluff, but it's the relationships in life. And when you're down, call a friend, call a family member, surround yourself with people that make you feel good and make you happy. And I've also learned in the last little while, it was always important to me growing up that everybody liked me. I didn't want anybody to not like me. And the older you get, you realize not everybody likes you. It's not possible. We're all different. So I've chosen to, when somebody doesn't like me, I still like them. I like them, and I use that as an example in how I feel about somebody else. Somebody I don't really like a lot, it's like, well, look how that person was treating me and how it made me feel. They don't deserve to be treated like that. So it's kind of a balancing act. I learn from each situation. So that was a very long answer to your question. I apologize for that, but that's what works for me.
It's an answer because it's a technique, and you gave explicit examples. And there are some people watching our show that might just think, I can't do it. I just can't. It's how I feel. I can't get out of that mood or get out of that moment. And surrounding ourselves with people that we know celebrate us, that's an important part. And I know that you have a loving family, and we can feel that, when we speak to you, when I speak to you, I can see that you're giving us not only your undivided attention, but I feel like you're bringing us into your circle. You're speaking to us, but yet I feel that you've drawn us closer to you. It's quite a gift. Anyone who watches our show will, I'm certain, feel this, and that alone is a gift that I don't think I've felt before. It's quite unique, and you can reach people anywhere in the world. That's wonderful. I'm very happy that you're able to spend this time with us. I have another question. We can probably spend hours tonight. I know that you talked about your grandchildren, and as a grandma, as a rah-rah myself, I'd like to know if you can speak a little bit about the gratitude that you have for your grandchildren, because first of all, you don't look old enough to be a grandmother. That's number one. So how that happened, I know you just told us your age. Doesn't seem possible, but maybe you can share a little bit about that with us, because there are some people in our audience who aren't able to be close to their grandchildren or see them, and then maybe some who are close and don't spend enough time. Perhaps you can share that, your perspective.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Where do I start? They change your life. It's a whole different thing. You love your kids more than life itself, but you've got that worry and that stress. And once they're grown and they find their mates and they have their children, you just kind of start feeling that peace, and it never really goes away. The worry kind of multiplies with your grandkids, but you just get to enjoy them so much more, and what they add to your life just blows my mind. They are just, kids are babies. They come out smart. They know how to do everything. Our grandkids have taught us so much. I'm just blown away. They're just full of love, sweet, sweet babies, and we just love having them around. So they've changed our life, make you think twice about some things, and always want to be close to home because that's where they are. So, yeah, they make you appreciate the little things in life, every little moment. They're just, talk about teaching you gratitude. They fill your heart full of love and gratitude. That just their smiles. That's all they have to do. So it's amazing. If you don't live with your grandkids, fly there and see them once in a while, and yeah, it's worth it.
You're right. It's a simple action. A smile. A smile is to some people, they don't even think about the impact it has.
Yeah.
About children or grandchildren specifically, as about us making eye contact and smiling, it just makes everything else go away. I wouldn't drop eye contact with my grandchild as long as they're smiling with me. Even if they're not, nothing will break my stare.
Yeah. Oh, they're sweet. They're amazing. They are. Oh. Oh.
And another thing, I'm sure you have big dreams. You talked about that before. Can you share something with us that we don't know? And there might be an awful lot of things, but something that we don't know about your big dreams that you focus on that keeps you going straight and happy and keeps you right on track?
My big dreams. Let's see. Probably just my biggest dream is to just be the difference that the world needs right now. Be the person, or in a way bring people together. And in fact, the question you asked me about, if sharing gratitude and how sometimes you're not in a good place and using gratitude to get yourself out. It's really hard for me to share sometimes because I do struggle with that a lot. I don't know, it's not depression. It just, in the fall or in the spring, I really just get down, and I don't know. It's really hard for me, and that's hard for me to share with people because I'm not supposed to be that person, and I'm Kody's wife, and you should be happy all the time. But I'm finding in life it's so refreshing to know that there are other people that aren't happy all the time, that when you're down and you see these amazing successful people, it just kind of makes you get down and downer. But to know that they have life struggles too, it kind of helps you achieve and get out of that hole and be who you are. So it's refreshing to me to be real. That's what I am. So I don't second guess what I say. Hopefully everybody understands that. I'm not perfect, but it is refreshing to be surrounded by people that make you happy and make you feel good about yourself, and we can all learn from each other. So that's my biggest dream, is to be happy and to help other people be that way. So, and of course to be with my family and my friends. And I'm not much of a traveler, so I don't want to say I want to go all around the world and travel. I really don't. I just like to be where my loved ones are. So,
well, Jodi, thank you for sharing that very personal perspective with us. I saw you that was so amazing when I saw you on stage last year and you were presenting. Can you tell us a little bit about how Jodi Bateman got up on stage and actually had the entire room, you could hear a pin drop. It was amazing how you presented.
I'm not really sure how that happened. It was probably Whitney, our daughter. She coaxed me into it, and that year too, there were a lot of people close to us that had lost loved ones, and I just really felt in my heart that somehow we needed to pay respect to them, and again, share in that experience, because we had all lost people, and Laurie has been a shining star example to me in that department, because she is one of the strongest women I know. She really is. I hope she knows how many people she's helped by going through the experience she went through so gracefully, and so, I don't know, she's a rock. She's a beautiful woman inside and out, and every time she's gone through a lot, and every time I just watch her and I learn so much from her. And Laurie helped me do it, and everybody else that was up on that stage. So you both know that that's not me. I'm not a public speaker. It was very hard for me, but I just tried to honor my daughter's wishes, I guess. So
It looked so natural. You were so beautiful,
oh,
so well spoken. It was wonderful, and you're right about Laurie, and to pay honor and tribute to Laurie. Laurie, you are absolutely a rock and a woman that I learn from every day. And please unmute yourself, because I would love to hear from you.
Didn't you read the rules? You're not supposed to make me cry. Yeah, well, that's part of God has been telling me to write a book for a few years, and I've really fought him on the book. And the I don't know when I'm going to be done or whatever, but it's called We All Have Choices is what it's going to be called, and that's it, right? We all have choices of what to do in life every day, of what to do, where to go, what to think about, how to respond or react to someone else on how they treat or talk to us. You know, all those things is just part of, it's choices. We have choices, and so we can choose to be happy, we can choose to be grateful, we can choose to be sad, we can choose to be angry, and, you know, and all the different emotions, you know, like, and, you know, after Brian's wreck, you know, I started a widows group, and, you know, and a lot of times I tell the women in that group, you know, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be mad, but you just can't stay there. You know, you have to get over and push through that emotion. And like, one big thing, especially like that I say in that group, is you've got to move forward. It doesn't mean, like, to me anyway, and it's the same thing, it depends on how you take things. Like, to me, moving on is like getting remarried or whatever, and biblically that's allowed. For me, I'm not interested, not in that realm. It's have no desire, whatever, you know, God might change things one day, but that's not me right now. And so but I still have to move forward. That's the rules. Like what Jodi said about the rear view mirrors, you know, you're looking forward in your vehicle in that big picture window, and you need to see that big picture, and you need to move forward, not focus on that rear view mirror. You're still supposed to remember it, you know, and that's good to do that, but you don't want to stay there and hang out there. You want to move forward and do better in life and help people with whatever that God has allowed to happen in your life for whatever reason. You know, we won't ever know till we get to heaven one day, right? And, you know, and some things, you know, different things of different people in life, we wonder, wow, why would that happen? Or how could that happen? Or why would God let that happen, you know, or whatever. But the thing is, everybody goes through different things, no matter what it is, whether it's, you know, my husband with the wreck, or my mom who is a major health fanatic but yet got cancer, or, you know, or a child some friends of mine that had a child that got cancer and passed away when he was really young. You know, it just, you never know. And those are weird, unanswered questions, but you just have to take what life hands you. But there's always going to be somebody else that went through the same thing or even worse. And so, like, one of my, I remember my pastor taught us before, you know, if you ever have a bad day or a bad whatever thought or feeling or something that happens or whatever, find somebody else and go help them, you know, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. And I remember one day that I was really feeling really, really, really down after Brian, and I had a lot of appointments, and I was going from one appointment to another, and I was in Nashville, and I had stopped in at a Panera, and I was just, you know, and I was praying. I was like, God, I need to be upbeat, and I need to be positive and motivational, and, you know, all the things that we're supposed to be for these next meetings throughout the day, and I am just not feeling it, and I need your strength, and I need you to help me, and, you know, God's grace is sufficient. And I was just, you know, trying to think of everything I could think of to drill it into my head and talk it back to myself, you know. And a few minutes later, I ended up meeting a lady. The place was crowded, and so I ended up meeting a lady there, and she had lost her husband in a wreck. And I don't know how we even met each other. I know it's just, you know, God happened to make it happen. But she had lost her husband in a wreck, but she had 7 kids, and 3 of them were with the dad at the same time. And so all of them went to heaven. Well, that really put a lot into perspective for me, you know, because I was like, wow, I only lost my husband, which is how I felt then, which is not that it's only like that wasn't a big deal, but my goodness, I you know, it put in a total different perspective of, you know, I didn't lose 3 of the 7 of my children, you know, I just lost my husband. And so so then it helped me to turn the tables to be more empathetic and sympathetic to her, and be grateful that because that weekend, actually, I was speaking for Send Out Cards in Knoxville, Tennessee at an event, and that weekend my husband was supposed to go with us, and we had our 2 youngest kids with us, and some things changed with his work, and so he decided not to go to be able to stay behind and help his boss, and my mom had went with us. And so and I believe that everything, you know, everybody has their timeline, and that it doesn't matter where you're at or what of those what if games that you play, it would have happened anyway, no matter what would have changed. And so what if he was with us and all 4 of us got in a wreck, and, you know, I could have lost my kids, or my kids could have been hurt, or, you know, or I don't know. I mean, you know, and I try to not play those what if games or whatever, but I just kind of thought about that, and I thought, you know, God has a purpose for everything, you know, and we just have to take what we're dealt and try to deal with it in the best way we can, and try to help other people.
Laurie, you have done so much for us as a community and within our company, and for you and I, the strength that you have brought to us has been amazing. And when we do our show and we speak to our guests, and just like Jodi said before, you know, we're real. This is who we are. Our show is about the things that happen in life, things that brought us together, the amazing things, the tragic things, they all were put into place, and somehow we're here. And we're here now to share that with people, that there is something today that maybe wasn't there a second ago. Obviously it wasn't. And there's something else around the corner that we don't know what it is, but it's going to be there for us and for others. So maybe the term pay it forward isn't exactly appropriate, but we look forward, we bring it forward. And in doing that and surrounding ourselves, like Jodi said, with people that celebrate us, then we know that there's someone cheering us on, like Jodi's birthday, and everyone getting together almost against her wishes, and your family surrounding you and being with you and being grateful for them to be with you at a moment when you're thinking, I'm so glad that they are still here, at a moment of tragedy, and us meeting and having new thoughts and desires and dreams that probably were not part of either one of our lives if it weren't for Kody putting us together. If that moment happened in time, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now. I won't even call it work, because it's not work. It's just, it's who we are. And sharing all of this unedited, here we are, gratitude all over the world as we've traveled. It's such a great journey. And I so appreciate that we can do this and that we take the time, no matter what's gone on 20 minutes before our show or 2 hours before. We're here and we're committed. And what's really important to me is to be able to have you here month in and month out, no matter what. And I'm grateful for you and I celebrate you. So excited that you could be part of this dynamic with us. And we talked about it earlier. I would love to be able to turn the show over to you and have you pretty much ask us something that you would like to hear. You know, we're open, we're ready, we'll answer any questions that you have. Is there something that you would like to ask Laurie or I, or Laurie and I? It's certainly something we welcome.
I would really like to ask you both, what are your gratitude triggers? What, when you're feeling down or you're feeling like you need a lift, what is it that you both do to make yourselves in a better place?
Laurie, would you like to go first?
I can. One of the things, I do a lot of different things, and it just really depends on where I'm at. One of the things, I have edited my Facebook friends list over the years, and almost anybody that I see in my news feed, I only see positive, motivational type, uplifting things. I've kind of deleted out of my life on Facebook, but as well as in person and in real life. You know, if somebody's not going to be thankful and grateful or happy or whatever, you know, I mean, everybody has those moments, of course, but for the most part, you know, then those are the people that I, you know, choose to surround myself with. And so I can pull up my Facebook and I can read, you know, just go to a couple people's pages or even just scroll down my news feed and read some neat things that I need to hear. And then also, if I'm at home, I do have my gratitude journal. And what got me to start that journal is similar to what Jodi had said earlier, as I read a story that said, you know, if you went to bed tonight and woke up tomorrow with everything that you thanked God for last night, what would you have when you wake up in the morning? And, you know, and of course none of us really, I mean, we'd be up all night long if we wrote down every single thing every single night of everything we were grateful for, right? But I took that comment and I decided to start writing in my gratitude journal at least 5 things. So I find 5 things throughout the day that I can be thankful for, and I write something down. And so even on, you know, my worst of worst days, you know, like Catherine, I know I've shared with you before, but the day that I was supposed to start my gratitude journal was January 1st of 2009. And that morning we lost baby number 5 at 5.5 months. It was January 1st. It was right after we had just announced it in all of our Christmas cards. And you know, and that night I cried to God saying, what am I supposed to write down in this stupid journal? Because what do I have to be thankful for, you know? And right then, you know, God told me back. I felt that, you know, well, I gave you 4 other beautiful, wonderful, healthy children that you should be very thankful for. And, you know, and I did. And I think I wrote 3 pages that night instead of just 5 things. But that is one of my big things. And I just go back and I read that, because that's it. A lot of times I know when you fall into that like what Jodi said, you start tumbling, and it's easy to keep going, you know, and one thought just triggers another thought and triggers another thought and triggers another thought of the downhill slope. And so when I go back and I pick up that book and I read some of the things, then that makes me start thinking, and then I start writing back in there, even if it's not that night before I go to bed, and I'll write back in there and add more things of what I'm finding to be grateful for in that day after all.
I love that, Laurie. That's perfect. I love gratitude journals. They're fun to go back and read.
Thank you, Laurie, for sharing that. Yes, we both have a gratitude. Laurie, you finished? I didn't mean to. Yeah, I think you finished. Okay. I have a gratitude journal as well, but I do a number of different exercises. So it's more prevalent to me now. Did I say that properly? Since we are holding an award and looking at that award, I think it was part of my life, but I look at my award every day, and it reminds me of that moment when my knees were weak and I couldn't imagine that that was my name being called and one of my dreams were coming true. I look at my award and I remember how I felt, and it was such a strong moment, but yet I physically felt like, how am I going to walk up to that stage? And it reminded me that dreams come true when you least expect it. Sometimes someone is working towards something, and sometimes you just have no idea that your strength is being recognized and honored and rewarded. So I do write in my gratitude journal, but I'm visual, and I go back to that moment and think, let me feel that weakness in my knees again, that excitement, that, oh my goodness, is that me? Have I touched someone? I need to do that every day. I need to have that physical feeling, put myself right back in that position. And once a month I do a physical exercise with a core group of people in my life. I call it bridging. It's a term that I have developed. Laurie, I think I told you a little bit about that, and Jodi, maybe I haven't told you about it. And at the beginning of it's once a month, I do this. And we write down our strengths. And at the end of this year, we'll have 12 strengths that we bring to the table. And it reminds me once a month to think of a different strength that I bring to the table. And it might just be how I'm feeling that day, subjective, but it shows me in a different light each month. And I think, well, if this month I brought family, just use for example, I have the book behind me in my study. If I brought love, that's the strength. If family is what I brought to the table this month, at the end of the year, I will look at myself as a whole more than one focus, because sometimes we do tend to focus on something as if there's nothing else that matters, but we all know that that's not the case, that everything really needs to matter so that we can move forward. So I write in my journal, I go back to the moment it made a difference to me and changed my life. Having weak knees, I guess, walking up on stage, and I look at our video when we met, Laurie. I truly do that so very often. And I think about my own strengths, and I think of it in terms of this month. What strengths did I bring to the table? So it lifts me up, and it gives me something else to look forward to. What's my next strength? I hope I answered the question, Jodi.
I love that. I'm going to try that. That is such a great idea. I love it. Perfect. See, you too. And that moment where you met on stage, I remember that. That was just cool. And I love that you've developed a friendship and this bond. Gratitude Girls, it's so cool. We need more of that. Thank you both so much for having me. This was so fun. Learned a lot.
Thank you. And Jodi, I'd like to honor you and say that you could only imagine the impact that 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes had. And here we are years later driving that vibration all over the world. So really I want to thank you for that, and thank you for being our guest. Laurie, I don't even want to look at the clock. I don't even want to look at the time. I don't care what time it is, but our audience who's tuned in or might be having a schedule. Would you be able to perhaps tell our audience a little bit about if they wanted to be on our show, if they have some thoughts or ideas, if they wanted to share them, how they can do that? And Jodi, it's such an honor to have you with us tonight, and I really do look forward to hearing how your bridging session goes. I'd love to share what I've done so far, and maybe you and Laurie and I can share that as well.
That would be awesome. I would love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Yes, well, thank you, Jodi, so much for joining with us. We really do appreciate it, yes, and loved hearing your stories, and I hope everybody that's watching and does watch in the future gets to see, you know, the real side of Jodi, too, a little bit, you know, except for not just the little side that Kody lets us see every once in a while.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm going to go make tomorrow better than today. Thanks to you, ladies. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. All right, well, everybody, thank you so much. We are looking forward to featuring your gratitude story on our show in the future. So you can send us your gratitude stories at our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/gratitudegirls, and we'll let you know when your story could be featured. And we will see you right here next month, the same channel, same place, same time, fourth Tuesday of every single month, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.